Mm-hmm. And oops, I guess I forgot to open up the other platforms I stream to.
Oh.
I like to have them open so that I can check every once in a while to see if any of them try to take me down.
Yeah.
That way, for example, if they have... Excuse me. Wow, that was weird. If for some reason they try to take me down, take my stream down for so-called... what the heck?
Copyright or whatever.
Yeah, then I don't find myself rambling for hours.
Yeah, right.
Only to lose it all later.
Yeah.
So that part looks good. This part looks good. I don't know why everything is frozen on Facebook. Test, test, test. I don't know why. Oh, I hear some background noise. Is it my end or your end?
That was mine. Yeah, I turn it off. In fact, I'm gonna.
Yeah, or just mute it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right, and also
Should all be in here. All right.
Oh. Where did my other link go? Dang it! So. All right, I'm also going to do a little additional promotion to remind everyone we are live. In the meantime, hello everyone. Welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined today by special guest Harrison Bergeron.
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 Bergeron. Yeah, that's my online name. My name's actually Dwayne Douglas.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. But Harrison Bergeron is a really famous Kurt Vonnegut short story if you read it, it's very relevant for today. It's about a world where it's like a dystopian future where the government has made everybody equal. So if you're really strong, you have to wear like a suit with weight on it, so you're no stronger than the weakest person. And if you're pretty, you have to put a mask on that makes you ugly. If you're smart, you put this device in your ear that like randomly spits out really loud sounds, so you can't have a train of thought to make you stupid.
Oh my gosh!
It's a great story. It'll take you like 25 minutes to read it.
My goodness, that is crazy wild.
Yeah, it was written in like the early 60s.
Prophetic.
Prophetic, exactly.
Yeah, like 1984.
Yeah, exactly.
Animal Farm. Oh my gosh. That's why the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Hello, Fate Salvation. Welcome. Hail.
Howdy.
Hello. So we are checking out this project called Hero Potential. I was looking at your, I often check to see if this, the creators I bring on are, if it's their first project or not. And it looks like you were working previously on another campaign.
Yeah, I did another campaign quite a few years ago. I have another game that I've been working on with a kind of a larger team, but it's stalled. I'll put it that way. Called Killing My Friend. Similar in some ways to the premise to this, but it's more of like a Hong Kong action movie shooter.
Yeah.
So think John Woo, Hard Boiled, or A Better Tomorrow Part 2. where you can like dive around and you get extra points if you kill somebody while you're diving versus if you're just standing there shooting, that kind of thing.
It was actually pretty cool looking.
Yeah, thanks.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, it's going, but that one's being programmed in C++, which I don't do. So my design aspect and my job on that is not done, but I'm kind of like taking a break from developing on that while other people are doing the nuts and bolts work, which is why I started working on this other project.
Okay. I just noticed a little dinosaur here.
Yeah.
So, start your career as Hollywood's newest movie star and the most over-the-top action movie ever.
Yeah, that one, the premise is you're filming an action movie and the director is the a-hole. So you're killing extras, basically.
Oh, dear.
But not really killing them. You're supposed. It's a weird hybrid between real life and filming a movie.
Okay. I was trying to understand how this all worked because it looked like there's blood splattering and everything, so I wasn't sure it was like, what do they call them, nibs? Squibs. Yeah. Where it simulates blood splattering, bloodshot.
It is that, but it's also a little bit of, I don't know if you know anything about Werner Herzog, the director, to like purportedly put a gun to the head of his actor to scare him into like down in South America or something.
No.
Or Kurosawa, who shot actual real arrows at the actors.
Ooh,
That's kind of the idea behind it. Is the director's maniacal and.
But in the game, you weren't actually killing the.
No, they theoretically they get up and walk away after the scene.
Oh, okay, all right. That's an interesting premise. So we've got. I like your logo and the company name, Hardboiled Software.
Yep.
Let me see. All right. Let's. Well, actually, let me refresh this here. Let's.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
All right. Hero Potential. Let's watch the video here.
Sure.
Whoops. Okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, there it goes.
Only you can stand between an evil rogue AI and the rest of humanity. Choose your hero, pick your powers, and achieve your potential to win. Hero Potential is a 4-player co-op superhero survival shooter with 20 weapons and 55 powers to choose from. Collect bounties, upgrade your powers, and call in better weapons to help you survive. When humanity cries for help, it's all on you to save them. In this action-packed third-person shooter, only you can achieve hero potential. A powerful hero sensing the end of humanity reaches into other worlds for help. Cecil. The Jawbreakers. And Cyberfrog. All these heroes are available in the first 2 official downloadable content releases, and both are available at launch. Back this project today to bring the fight for humanity to life. Hero Potential is only available on Indiegogo.
There you go.
Before we get much deeper into this, let's take a moment. I wanted to learn more about. Oh, yeah.
That's me, yeah.
Learn a little bit more about you, your background, how you even got to the point at which you were trying to crowdfund a video game.
Yep.
Did you have like a background in comics and gaming industry?
Well, I've been in. I haven't actually worked in the gaming industry as a job, although I got close to that, and I do actually have like credit on a couple of games, but they were like side gigs. I have a strict credit on a Star Wars game, actually.
Ooh, which one?
It's Jedi Academy. No, not Jedi Academy. Sorry, Jedi Outcast, but only on the Xbox and GameCube.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's Jedi Knight 2, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So back in like 2002 or something like that. How I got my started in it, I was in the Quake 2 mod scene, and then I got into the Half-Life mod scene. And I made a pretty famous. Well, I was part of the team, and then I ended up taking over the development on it for after the first like year and a half, and I ran it for like 5 years after that for a mod called Action Half-Life. That was kind of similar to the my other game, where it was an action movie style shooter where you dove around and stuff. So, and before that, I worked with some guys on a mod called Action Quake 2, which was similar, but a little bit more rudimentary. And a buddy of mine on that Action Quake 2 went off. We were courted by Valve, who made Half-Life. Yeah, they came to us and said, "Hey, we want you to make a mod." And one buddy of mine on the Action Quake 2 team went off and made a mod that became stupidly famous called Counter-Strike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and then we made this other one. But, you know, back when we were doing it, we'd have 30,000 people playing a day, which is, you know, 20 years ago is a lot of people. You know, gaming now is millions of people, but 20,000 people back then was pretty amazing. But I did go to school to do animation and that kind of stuff for a year at a place in Hollywood that teaches computer animation called Namen. Namen 3D. They're up in Hollywood. And then but my main job, my day-to-day job, I've worked at Disneyland for 23 years.
Wow. What do you do for them?
I'm a recording engineer. So I actually record music.
Oh, okay.
Behind a soundboard. And some other odds and ends stuff. But yeah. So that's my background.
Wow. So were you recording things like the music soundtracks for their animated film?
Not for the animated film. No, it was for the park.
For the park.
Yes, for the park. And actually, a lot of what we did was educational workshops for kids. So we do these workshops where like high school and junior high bands would come in and they'd do a recording session, kind of like you would for the movies, where we had clips of movies, of Disney movies, and they'd play the music and then we'd mix it in with all the sound effects and stuff and put it to the picture and show it to them so they get a little mini recording session thing. So that was one of the other things they did.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But unfortunately, that whole department got cut when they laid off everybody. So that program is no longer around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you did, when you say you were working in the mod scene, so you were actually taking in existing games, using the editor, and making like custom environments for players to roam around in and fight in.
Yeah, not just environments, but we would change the whole game. So we made Half-Life, which is like a sci-fi shooter with aliens and alien weapons. We made it a straight up action movie shooter where you couldn't heal. If you get shot, you would bleed and you'd have to bandage. So you had a very limited lifespan, but then we gave you extra points if you could get multiple kills in a row without dying. And I have to say, back then, a lot of what you see in video games today, like stuff like Call of Duty and stuff, is directly tied to Action Quake 2. In fact, there's a video about the making of Overwatch where they cite Counter-Strike and Half-Life, Action Half-Life, sorry, as what do you call it?
Inspiration.
Inspiration for it. So when you see stuff like McCree had, his gun. You fire it with one bullet with one fire button, and the other one you do the fan the hammer where you empty the gun. That literally was created in Action Half-Life by me.
Whoa. Does that
Same
mean,
thing with what's that?
Oh, I was just going to add, does that mean you get some sort of credit in the game as well?
No, but it's flattering.
Yeah.
It's flattering hearing the lead designer on a game like Overwatch that everybody knows that's huge, like cite your little homemade video game as inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And this is based on, it looks like the Quake 4 engine?
Unreal 4.
I mean, Unreal 4, yeah.
Yeah.
What made you gravitate towards the Unreal engine versus something else?
Something else that happened near the end of the development on Action Half-Life. We were courted by Epic, who owns Unreal. Back then, they were owned by Atari, and we had a chance to maybe do something with them, and it fell through. So I worked with the engine before, and I had basically fond memories. But what happened was back then, 15, 20 years ago, if you wanted to make a game using the Unreal Engine, you'd have to pay them $500,000 up front to license it. And then about 5 years ago, they decided to put it out where at first it was $20 a month and you had access to their engine. And then if you sell it, you pay them 5%. So when I heard that, I started getting back in. I started dusting off all my old skills and getting back into it. So
what kind of programming language is the Unreal Engine based off?
It's based off C++, which is what my other game is being programmed in. But they also have their own scripting language that they use. It's a visual scripting language called Blueprint. Where it's node based, where you have like basically little shapes on the screen and you're drawing lines between them kind of on screen, and that's what does all the calculation, and then that gets translated. We compile it down to C++, so you're still working in C++ and you understand a lot of the syntax of it, but it's visual based, and that's what Hero Potential is programmed in. The whole thing is programmed in that Blueprint scripting language. And I've been teaching myself how to do that because, like I said, I don't code C++, but for the last few years, I've been teaching myself how to do that.
That's pretty cool. Oh, wait a minute. This is example gameplay, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of links up there. There's a little bit of gameplay. There's a little short video that has like just the selection screen so you can see all the characters that are in it.
I think I saw some of these also shown down below in the story section of the campaign.
And then I have other videos on my channel where I describe like the story behind the world that it's happening in, and another one just like going through how the game is going to work, what kind of game it is,
right? What
all the features are. And I have another one where I talk about who I am, because I know that's important for people to hear. And that's actually linked in there as well. It's just a link so you can click on it if you want. Down under the like who's making.
Oh, okay, like a hyperlink.
Yeah, it's just a hyperlink because I didn't want to feature it, but
right.
But if you are curious, there it is. And I talk a lot of what we just talked about my background is in there.
All right. Let's check this out so we can get a better feel for what this game is going to be like.
Hello. That's Bergeron. That's me talking. There's one if you want to. If you want to watch that one, that's fine. But it's like 12 minutes long.
Oh dear, I didn't notice that.
If you want to watch the one that's like down, that's the second one down. In the story that says power highlight, just mute it because your boy Zach got copyright struck for the music on it. Even though I paid for the licensing for it, the algorithm didn't like it. But you don't really need the sound effects. I mean, the music, and it kind of covers the sound effects. but that's the one you want to watch, the power highlight.
Oh. Crap. I was trying to maximize it, but hold on a minute. Can you see it? Even though
it's not on the screen. It's just the two of us.
oh shoot! Sorry. Wait. My bad. I forgot to switch back. Wah.
Yeah, there you go. And these are the kind of the more generic characters that you can pick, and then you get to pick powers for them. So this is showing off the powers that you can pick, or some of them. I don't know, there's probably about a third of the powers are in the game.
So it looks like there's a giant force field over the entire fighting arena.
Yes.
Does that always remain? Is that?
It will, because as part of the story is there's an AI that's trying to wipe out all of the superheroes, and it will launch when it finds out the superheroes in the area, it'll launch a shield that you can't escape from. And it's basically just a way to keep you in an area.
Right. Is there? I mean, do you see the shield laid down from the get-go, or
when you spawn in, when you start, it'll be there. But there'll also be a couple of smaller ones to make the area smaller, and then you'll have to earn enough points to disable that one. But there'll be another big one, and that'll open up the play area a little. And then there'll be another one inside that. I mean, outside that one. So essentially, you'll always be within that. So you're always contained within. And the idea is that it's kind of like a Call of Duty Zombies game where you're just trying to survive an apocalypse. But in this case, the apocalypse is robots trying to kill superheroes.
Yeah.
Here's the giant character. You can see he's twice the size.
Got kind of a Bane type mask.
Yeah.
It looked like he was kind of moving slow. Did he have some kind of power applied against him to?
No, I just need to adjust the animation speed.
Oh, all right. Now, which character is this one of the Jawbreakers?
Yeah, that's Cuffs.
All right.
He'll have super strength, but that's also one of the powers you can pick. And so you'll be able to pick up objects and use them as weapons or throw them.
So some characters will have that power,
and
others won't.
Yep.
Be able to lift and throw objects.
Yep.
Ah.
And there'll also be telekinesis. So you'll be able to pick up smaller objects and like throw them at people as a weapon.
Cool. So you will have. All right. If ideally, once it exceeds the fixed goal, do you anticipate making the world environment bigger so there's more room to run around and fight?
Well, yeah. What you're looking at there are two little maps that were almost, kind of pre-built just to show off what I've done. The map, the environments you fight in, will probably have like 3 or 4 to start off with. The game takes place in Long Beach, California, which is not far from where I live. Because you get a downtown area, you get a suburb area, you get the docks, you get like a touristy area. So and like I said, the story that it's based on, which is going to be a comic that I hopefully get to produce in the not too distant future, takes place in that area. So I'm kind of doing it backwards, where the comic would come first and then you do a video game, but I don't have the skills or the money to produce the comic yet. So I'm doing this first because this is something I can do. But yeah, so there'll be about 4 different maps, and they'll be bigger than what you see there, but it'll also be a little bit tighter because both of those maps are really like open, and it'll be a little bit more narrow streets and stuff to kind of trap you in, So you're a little bit more worried and a little bit more varied on height. So you'll be able to get up on top of stuff and move around and be a little bit more three-dimensional. So those are just showcases, basically. The powers, the characters, the effects, that's all stuff that the work has really been about. And the AI being able to like move around and attack you. The AI actually functions better on a map that is set up better with less long lines of sight, because you can pick them off before they get to you.
Oh, interesting.
On
Okay.
this map, yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, it's like one of those endless zombie or endless alien kind of games.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I chose that is because it's fairly simple to do. It's fun. And like I said, as far as complexity goes, it's fairly simple. And as much as I like PvP games like Overwatch, if you don't have an audience for them, the game's useless. So you can add it on, but if at least with this, somebody that doesn't like playing multiplayer can still play it and have a good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have a $10,000 fixed goal, and how did you do the math to put this together? Are you factoring all the hours it takes to program?
No, that it is literally there are fees to put it out on Xbox. That comes to about $5,000 because I'm an Xbox developer as a result of my other game.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it just to release it in the U.S., you have to pay about $5,000 to the ESRB, which is the people that put the little symbol on there that say rated E for whatever. Yeah,
you have to pay them. What?
Oh yeah.
I thought you just
and it's like $3,000 in Australia for Peggy.
I thought you just release a game and then they get around to reviewing your product and then they slap a rating on it for everyone else.
Nope, that's how they make their money. That and E3. But yeah. So half of that is to go to release it here without me paying out of pocket. And the other half is the other 5,000 would be to get me a new rig because I'm on a laptop actually right now.
Laptop.
It's a really beefy, souped up Alienware, but it's like 2 years old now. So, and I need 2 screens. It would be a lot easier. So, and then to pay for software, like Maya for a year is like $1,800.
Jeez. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, welcome, Sim. Hello, everyone. Cool game. Could use a badass assassin vampire.
Yeah, we'll have to talk. Well, that actually brings up something else. I do have 4 paid DLC, and you can see it's being occupied by the likes of Cyberfrog and Cecil and the Jawbreakers, so bigger names. And I'm in the process of talking to some other people that have well-known characters to fill the other slots. But my intention is to, outside of those paid ones, is to release free DLC with other characters because it doesn't take that much to once the framework of the game is built, it's really easy to add another character. There's some cost to it because you have to spend time and money and stuff to design the character model. And once that's done, it's not too difficult to add another character to the framework that's already there. So my intention is to have other CG characters, some of the not so big names, be able to be in there, but as free downloadable content to just keep adding characters like Overwatch.
Yep, Maya is expensive.
Yeah. I only need it to do animation. I can do a lot of the other stuff in like Blender, which is free, but the animation is 1,000 times easier to do in Maya because Unreal has a plugin.
Oh, okay.
For that works in Maya to directly translate back and forth and manipulate the animation. So.
Oh wow, yeah, that sounds like a time saver. Since you need 2 monitors, are you getting by plugging an external monitor into your laptop?
Yeah, but or just I've gotten really good at flip-flopping windows.
Okay. Man, it's crazy to think that you have to replace your computer every 2 years.
Yeah, I don't really need to, but it would make it a lot easier.
Hmm.
And also, part of the reason why I got a laptop is I can take it and work anywhere, which I would still keep this one to do that. But it would also be nice to have like a rig that can do stuff a little faster and be a little bit more powerful. So.
Yeah, that's why for the most part I've always stuck with towers.
Yeah.
All my life. Welcome, Froggo Funding. Good to have you.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, because with towers you have nearly limitless expandability.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, at the time I got this, I needed more portability.
Mm-hmm.
I would have sometimes large breaks at work, so I would do stuff at work. But now I'm finding myself at home more.
Yeah.
Also, I could work in other parts of my house because I have a little 5-year-old.
Oh.
A couple of years ago, he was like right now. I can keep him busy doing other things, but earlier I'd go work on the couch while he was playing on the floor in front of me. So he was a toddler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, just get yourself like a rolling cart, stick all your your power and your monitors on,
like one of the medical carts, kind of like that.
Yeah, and then have everything plugged into surge suppressor, and then all you do is unplug that cable and your network cable and your
Yeah.
Frog is just relaxing after another long shift. Right on.
I know those overtime blues, man. Not lately, but
definitely. Thanks for stopping by. So you are at 42% of the fixed goal. So far so good. But did you start off? Are you doing an Indiegogo campaign where you're doing a full 60 days of funding straight off, or
it's 30 days. You can extend it to 60, and which I'll do if I need to. And then once I have that first 10,000, and then I can open up the in-demand store, which I'll probably do. Not probably, I'm planning on doing, and then I can, as long as you are getting sales. And I have some plans, some longer term plans, so I can put out not necessarily a demo, but a prototype for people to play around with. I just wasn't ready yet. I really probably should have been ready before I did this, but financially, this made the most sense to do this now. Yeah.
So are you actually in the first 30 days?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's cool. All right.
Yeah. So I'm actually within the first 6 days.
Yeah. All right.
Tomorrow will be a week, and it's going pretty good. I've gotten some help. Your boy Zach made a whole video about it. He's pretty excited, which is freaking awesome. But
nice. Yeah. Were you actually a guest on the show?
No, he just he kind of ran through the what do you call it?
Campaign.
The campaign on his, in like a 10-minute video, talking about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Got a good chunk from that.
Yeah, I was literally, just before our stream, I was listening to one of EVS's shows, and they took a moment to, I think it was Cecil who brought it up, but EVS was planning on covering it anyway, and they spent some time talking about the game. And
Cecil has been awesome. He's definitely been an advocate, which is great. Like having somebody like that.
Oh yeah, and I think he was. I think the general consensus is Cecil looks too thin, and then more weight. EVS for some reason was kind of pushing for some nice butt definition on Cecil.
Yeah, I actually made a joke about that. I turned him into a female, and put a video on Twitter showing it, which was pretty funny. But There's your butt definition.
Yeah. Welcome, Matanui. How's it going?
Howdy.
Yeah. How are you handling? All right, so you can choose from different characters. Let's say you download all the content that's available, all the DLCs, including Cyberfrog, Graveyard Shift, and Cecil. When you're doing Graveyard Shift, are you literally getting all the Graveyard Shift?
Well, that hasn't been. I haven't made a deal with John yet. With Malin.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Graveyard Shift, but
Jawbreakers. Yeah. So they all work the same as the other characters. So everything's in that 3 power framework. It's actually 4 powers because there's like an ultimate power that you can get called full potential. You can achieve your full potential and then you blast off. Like Cyberfrog's full potential power will be the Super Croak.
Right.
So after you earn enough points, you'll have access to it, and then you can blow it off when you need to.
Yeah.
But then what it is, you'll choose an attack power. You'll choose a defensive power, like regeneration or like super health. So you have 400 points of health but you can't wear armor. Or different powers in that, and then you'll have another one that either makes you more deadly, like stuff that makes it so you shoot 2 bullets instead of 1, or heals you, vampire attacks where every time you damage them you get a little bit back in health. So that's the third one, and then your fourth one is your ultimate attack, and then all the other characters like Cyberfrog fits into that. So he has regeneration. He has Cyberfrog jumping ability, so he jumps a little higher than everybody else, and his attack power is his tongue, so he can stick out his tongue, grab somebody, and pull him towards him, and it damages him while he does that, and then he can punch and kick him. So you can kind of pick off targets that you want out of the crowd. Okay. And then his super attack is the Super Croak, and same thing with like Silkworm. He can cocoon people with his pink cocoons. You can see it in the video where he like freezes them and they get stuck in a cocoon and you can damage them. And then his defensive power is called Soldier of Fortune, which is a kind of a generic power that you can pick, but it gives him an extra weapon. So he starts with an AK-47 as well as a pistol, and then he starts with armor and he can sprint for longer. And then he's got a healing power as his defensive power, so he can cocoon and heal up.
So for those characters who are known to have like their go-to or favorite weapon, can those weapons be interchanged between characters? Can like that character like drop off on the ground any weapon for someone else to pick up?
No, but there are weapons that you can pick up, because the idea is that you're so desperate that superheroes are using shotguns even just to try and stay alive. So there are like a whole bunch of like weapons like shotguns and submachine guns and machine guns and rocket launchers, and then some high-tech weapons that you can pay enough of your points. You spend points and then you can call in something that will drop in like a high-tech weapon. So you'll get like a blaster or a rocket launcher that's more like Quake, where it holds 5 rockets at once.
Is there a chainsaw?
There's not a chainsaw, but there is a samurai sword, and there are claws, like Wolverine style claws.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that character.
Those are weapons that you can interchange. So they're supposed to be like those daggers that have the knives coming out where your knuckles would be. Have you seen that? Yeah. The idea is that they're weapons and they're not actually claws coming out of your hands.
Oh, okay. All right. And is there a BFG or something similar?
There's no BFG, but I'm replacing that. Instead of a BFG, you're going to have an ultimate power that will do something similar.
Wow. Going back to the question about if you get the DLC, the downloadable content for Jawbreakers, do you literally get you do get all the characters, right?
Well, what it is well, if you look at the featured tier, if you just scroll down just a little bit on there, so right there, featured full potential. Full potential, you get all 4 of the DLC. So that's the Cyberfog, Silkworm, and Cecil, and then 1 extra character that had yet to be decided upon, but it'll be one of the bigger, more well-known characters. That's 1 DLC. The other one is the rest of the Jawbreakers. So it's Cuff, Knife Hands, Hell Priest, and Double Dog.
Oh, wow.
And then you get 2 additional ones. So basically, the game, the way it's being sold is it's $20, and then each of the DLC is another $5 for 4 characters. And the creators are getting the money. Well, it's getting split flat 5 ways. So each character gets 20% of the profits off that DLC, and I take 20%. So a lot of the money for those DLC it's not actually going to me. I'm basically getting enough to cover the costs, but the creators themselves are getting the money.
That's trippy.
Yeah. Well, I had to pay the licensing fee, somehow. So
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's a clever way to do it, and it's nice that with the featured tier you get all these characters.
Yeah, so you'll have a total of 12 standard characters, and then another 16 ComicsGate characters.
Wow, that's a trip. Let's see here. Sim says, check your DMs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Fate says, that sounds awesome. That's pretty cool, because I was initially thinking, because I'm kind of going into this a little blind, I kind of thought that you're going to have the backing at a certain amount, and then on top of that, you were going to charge separately for the DLCs and stuff like that. But this is a pretty economical and nicely priced game.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, unlike this is by no means a knock. It's just a bonus that I get to take advantage of. There's no shipping fee. It's an email. I email you a key, and then you download the game. So the price you see is exactly what you pay. There's no extra fee on top. Whereas when you buy a comic, there's usually a shipping fee. But we all understand that there's a shipping fee there. When you're back in a comic on Indiegogo. Like I said, it's not a knock. It's just I get a bonus of not having to charge extra to deliver it to you.
So you literally won't see any kind of, when you go to check out, there won't be any additional shipping fee involved, because it's basically email link.
Yep.
With the key, as you said.
Yeah, but that just makes it so it's really important to, throughout the life of this project, to keep your email up to date.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And I'm gonna stress that in the like the final days, like put that out there. Like, make sure whatever you do, make sure you keep that up to date, because I've had issues with that before, like trying to get a hold of people, and their emails they moved on. They're not with that service anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's a pain in the rear, trying to figure out what platform they moved to, or if they changed their handle. There's a service that EVS uses occasionally for his channel members.
Mm-hmm.
It says something like, what's your email, or give me your email, and it basically shoots out a blast or whatever to your email. Was that
MailChimp?
No, it's different from that. It's some other link where you let's see, how does it work? I think he sent the email out to, he might have used MailChimp to send an email out to everyone. saying, click on this link to make sure your latest email or mailing information is current, and then you click on this site and make sure it's all updated there. That might be something that might work for you, unless it's only applicable to physical addresses.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll definitely do some research. I have the database from the
early sign up.
The early sign up saved, and I've been using MailChimp, but so I at least have all those, because those people, anybody who signed up early is going to be able to do the alpha testing when that's ready, which is hopefully by the early part of the summer, next summer.
If you were to like associate it with the percentages, how much progress you've made on this project, how far along are you towards completion?
I would say the bulk of the framework is done, and now I haven't bothered to add new powers, because that actually goes fairly quickly depending on how complex they are. Because I was working on the other framework, like getting the multiplayer to work, which I don't have a lot of footage because, again, I have one computer and you can't really test multiple characters like that. I can do the menu, but when it comes to actually playing, which is the other thing having a second computer can do, because then I can sit next to me and have my laptop and then play on two different computers. But I would say I am probably about 30 or so % done as a whole. And what's left to do is make new characters, add new powers. But again, the framework's there, so it's just kind of plugging in new stuff. All the weapons are functioning. The basic framework for the powers all function. And then I have to create new environments. So I have some like really basic ones that I play test in, because you've seen where I show off the powers because I want it to look good. Because if you go to my YouTube channel, the last video I put up a couple of days ago, it has a video where you can actually see how I test, and I go through. It's called Maps and Testing New Elements, and it's basically just building blocks that look like a city, but the lighting's kind of plain, and they're just like blue blocks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those play areas that look really basic and then slowly fill them in with life, with architecture, with whatever. Yeah.
What's your channel name?
Harry Bergeron, Harri Bergeron.
What?
Actually, I could probably. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can find it. Look at that. Hero potential. That's it. That's me. Actually, it's the one right there. It says mapping and testing, the one on the left. Yeah. And if you scroll, I'm talking over it, but we just want the visuals. So if you scroll in just a little ways, probably about halfway in to the video. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like bathroom tiles.
Yeah. They're just, rudimentary shapes, but eventually you fill those in with buildings and platforms and streets. And so this is actually where all the playtesting happens, is in environments like this. And the style of, the shape of it actually adds a lot to the gameplay. The way there's a lot more corners and that sort of stuff. I just added that acid effect in recently because I was having a problem with it myself. Even it's too easy to like sit in a corner and kind of camp and just kill them as they come in.
Yeah.
So I made a way for them to make it so I don't want to sit in one area. So like it's an acid bomb that makes it so you have to leave the area or die.
So is it one of the AI androids that is tossing the acid ball? Or,
yep.
All right.
And this is a really rudimentary one. I just barely started like getting that kind of shaped out. There's another one in another part of the video that's a little bit more like a suburban neighborhood.
So in creating these environments, these maps,
Mm-hmm.
are you literally referencing legit architecture? Are you looking at pictures of the area near you?
Not so much, a little bit. This is another play area that has basically every element in it, but it's a lot more basic. And I put labels on things because I figured I might make it so you could go in there and just play around. But it has basically every weapon is available. The weapon boxes that give you weapons are all in there. So it's another like really just basic.
This is cool.
You're going to just see behind the scenes.
That's neat.
There's a little bit of that, like, but mostly it's more about creating a feeling of where you're at rather than accurate. Because some games you want something that's a little bit, if you're playing Spider-Man on PlayStation 4, you want something that looks and feels like Manhattan. Because it's about time and place. And the way the game works, it works just fine if you have the entire city, because you got to swing around and you can go and hit hot spots around the city. I don't know if you played that, but and then but for this game, it needs to be a little bit more self-contained and a little bit more claustrophobic. So it's going to evoke a downtown or a dock or a suburban neighborhood, but it's going to have little cheats. So the streets aren't going to be square; they're going to be kind of off center, kind of like if you ever go to like Universal Studios and you see the backlot, or if you ever see something that's the backlot where they film stuff. There's no corners because you can't have a camera that shoots down a street like New York where you can see blocks and blocks and blocks. You have to kind of cut it off. So it's all tricks of the camera. Well, those same tricks actually work in video games as well. So you evoke an idea and a place without actually being like completely accurate. But it all depends on the game. Like I said, Spider-Man, that's what you want. In this game, you just want to make them feel like they're in the area thematically, but then you want to control where they go and where they can move.
Wow, that's pretty neat. That's a trip. And let's see, did we already look at? So, what the heck?
If you scroll down, there's another video that has that screen on it. That it's really short. It's like a couple seconds, but you can kind of see. Yeah, it's the next video down, that one. You can see the character select screen as it exists now. The UI is being worked on. It's literally the only thing that's being worked on with help from other people.
So there are some preset characters you could choose from?
Yeah, so those are the ones, and you can see they have generic names: hero, M1, male 1, F2, female 2. And, they go male, female, male, female, male, female. And actually, one of the perks is you get to name those. So if you want to name one of these characters, you get 4 copies of the game, and so you can hand them out to your friends, and you get to name the character, and that's like the $200 perk on the thing. But yeah, so there's. If
you get the perk where you name it, does that mean it's named that way for all the other people who campaign? All right.
Yeah. So if you wanted to name it, I also have one for 3,000, 2,000, 3,000. I forget what I actually decided on. I'm gonna look. For $2,000, you can actually send me some high-res photos of you and a character design and a name, and I'll actually put you in the game too, if you want.
Cuffs, Hell Priest, Silkworm.
Yeah, and then that's actually 4 players. loaded in playing with one character having the giant power, so she's twice as big.
Okay.
And then if you have the giant power and you crouch, it just reduces you back to standard walking size. You can't crouch, but that way you can fit through a doorway if you need to.
Oh, okay. All right.
And there's
Yeah.
also a power where you shrink down and for like 3 seconds, and you can like run away. But yeah, there you go. And then there's a whole bunch of powers I haven't programmed in yet. There's going to be like an ice attack power, a psi attack power. You can have a archery, and archery will replace it, so you can't pick up any other weapons. But you'll have an arrow that will freeze them in place with like a styrofoam arrow, where they freeze you in place, and another one that or not styrofoam, but a foam arrow, and another one that's explosive. So when it hits, it'll beep 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 and then explode. And the way this game started is I started programming to learn the blueprint system. So I would think of a superpower and then try and program it, or read a tutorial on how to program something similar to it or whatever. And I ended up with this character that had like a crapload of powers. And then I started thinking, well, I could turn this into a game, and kind of came up with the rest of the design. So some of the program I got done before. So I do have like the archery stuff working. I just haven't programmed it into this version of the game, because I basically have to reprogram it. But all the math and the hows have been done. So it's not quite copy and pasting, but it's a little bit like that.
Okay. All right. How many default generic characters?
There will be 12 total, or 10 depending. There'll be 12, and then an unlimited amount of CG characters can be put in.
Now, is this? Let me see something here.
Sure.
So this is going to be a game released on Steam. That's what you get the key for, to play it on Steam?
Initially, but I'm also offering, and actually it talks about it right in the section you're looking at, that because I don't remember, but all the platforms treat crowdfunding campaigns differently. Some don't allow it. Like I think Nintendo's super strict. Like they're like crazy to work with. They're really difficult to get the what do you call it, the development kits for. You have to apply, they have to like your concept and stuff. I mean, they all do that, but they're really super strict. So but if I can get on it and I can give it out, I'll give it on that. If I get it on the Xbox and I can give it on that, I'll give it on that. So basically any platform I end up getting it on, you'll get a key for. The only one I'm guaranteeing you will get it on is Steam. So anything that ever releases on after this, it will be sent to you after. So it's basically one purchase gets you every platform it's released on. That allows
you might have touched on this previously, but where did you get the idea for the game?
Well, it actually this started out as me writing a story for a comic, and this was like 2 years ago. But I'm not an artist, and paying an artist costs money, and I just never got to the point where I had enough money to do that. And then things started really exploding with CG, so I knew that the market was crowded. But basically, in the story, I wrote this. I don't want to give too much of the background because it would spoil it, but basically, this guy accidentally creates an AI 30 years ago when he's a kid. He's a hacker kid, and he creates a computer virus, and it goes around and messes with people's emails in the mid 90s, and then eventually it starts gaining knowledge and replicating, and gaining knowledge and replicating, and eventually becomes sentient. And the only person that can kill it is the guy who wrote it when he was a kid. Now he's a middle-aged programmer. So it launches a campaign to kill this guy, so to protect itself. And a bunch of superheroes stop it. And then it realizes that the superheroes are going to stand in the way of it surviving, so it decides to wipe out all the superheroes, and that's where this game comes from. Is it trying to destroy all the superheroes?
All right. Very nice. All backers get $5 off the price of the base game right off the bat from the price.
Yeah. So when I sell it, it'll be $25 on Steam, but if you buy it here, it's $20 plus $5 for each of the. I'm not giving a discount on the DLC because I'm paying other people with the DLC money. But the base game, the base hero potential, where you get to pick one of the 12 characters and then pick their powers, that's going to be $25. And there's a perk for it. The first perk after the feature perk is that, and it's $20. So yeah, $5 off.
So that's interesting. Do you already have experience working with Steam and Epic Game Store? It seems like there's talk in the gaming industry that one's better than the other, and that
they're definitely different. I'll tell you, from a developer standpoint, I can't talk in specifics, but if you were to Google how much it costs to release it, like how much a percentage that Steam charges, you could find the answer. I'm just behind an NDA, so I can't actually say it.
right.
But it's significant.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Epic Game Store, and then on top of that, on Steam, you have to pay an extra 5% to Unreal.
Oh,
Yeah. So it ends up being a significant portion, and then taxes and stuff. So that what you get to take home is, luckily that doesn't the Steam does, like, charging doesn't count for crowdfunding, which is pretty cool. But when it comes to actually once the game's over, then when it's sold on Steam, whereas Epic, it's 12%. That includes the 5% as well.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So from a standpoint of a developer, yeah, it totally makes sense to. Just realized I'm turning blue as the sun goes down.
Welcome, Zevius. Hey, nerds.
Yeah.
The game looks awesome. Well done, Harrison.
Fist bump.
Yeah. The other advantage is it's not platform specific, because Steam will, like, I use a Mac all the time, and a lot of my friends still use PCs. So, but one thing in common, we can both run Steam.
Right.
So that's a plus. I don't remember for sure if Linux supports Steam.
It does, yeah. I'll need to make a version for each one, and some of that will be based on the demand. Like, I won't necessarily offer it on everything yet, but if I get enough people, then I'll make another version and release it on that. But the cool thing is with Unreal and the Epic Game Store is it's really easy to cross-platform.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's really easy. They have a core plugin that makes it so you can basically plug in code from Steam and plug in code, but it's front end code, even on Xbox and PlayStation. But the core of the mechanics will all function across them. So you could literally be playing with, and there's games you can do this on, but you could be playing with somebody on a PC and one guy on an Xbox theoretically.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if I'm necessarily going to offer that, but what I'd like to do, actually, I put it as one of the stretch goals, is to do couch co-op, so do split screen.
Oh, okay, all right.
That'll tell because that's always fun, do split screen with your buddy sitting on the couch next to you, or whatever. It's a little less common on the PC / platform, the Steam, but when it comes to Xbox and stuff, that's like gold. That's like printing money.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not a lot of games that do that anymore.
People who are into console gaming tend to like that. I mean, my biggest gripe about split screen is that there's a smaller image overall.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and you got to dumb down the effects and stuff a little bit.
yeah. Let's see here. So you already covered what the 10 grand would cover: equipment, software, all that good stuff. Ability to port to different platforms. Any additional funding goes towards production, like hiring artists, level designers, and animators. Adding features. No shipping fee, that's cool. You'll get a Steam key when it's ready to release. So in terms of release schedule, I mean, well, you're looking at possibly just before spring or just before summer?
Oh no, what I have on there is beta testing will start by November.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but I'm hoping. I know guarantees because it's hard to say with games, and especially if if the game does well, and I can add features that might push the release date back. But that's in there. It's in the facts, and I think I stated at the end that's a possibility. I doubt it because I'm not going there right now. But yeah, that is something that theoretically could happen, but it wouldn't push it back much. But yeah, so I'm planning on having closed beta testing start and then an actual release, but that won't really concern anybody that purchased it because you'll already be playing it in the closed beta testing. There won't be any difference. But the actual release where I start selling it on the other platform, on Steam, and then probably another couple of months after that on the Xbox. Those are the two that I have planned for now for sure. And then after that, after those two are in the can and out in the world, then I'm going to start working on the other platforms.
If it becomes really successful, are you considering going to Nintendo Switch or PS5?
Absolutely. PS5's been a little easier. I've gone through the process before, but then I stopped it because there are some hoops you have to jump through, and they do cost money. Xbox will give you a dev kit if they like your game. PlayStation, you have to pay for it.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and Nintendo is they're tough. But if you already have it out on other systems and it's successful, then they're much more likely to do it. So that's why the order of things.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think some games in the past have also had like an alpha testing stage.
Early access.
Yeah, is that something you consider doing, or do you want to wait till it's more polished before you?
Early access is something where you actually start selling it before it's finished on Steam, or I think they call it something else, but it's on Steam. It's called early access. Well, I'm hoping with crowdfunding, that kind of makes it so I don't have to do that. Crowdfunding and early access both have really bad reputations with gamers, and rightly so, because they, you know how we get in ComicsGate about books that don't get finished or late.
Yep.
Well, there's been so many with video games that it's like if I were to put this same game out in the same state with the same video in 2012 or 13 or 14 on Kickstarter, I would probably have, I don't know, by myself without the network that ComicsGate creates, probably at least 120,000. Because back then nobody had faulted yet, and the idea of crowdfunding a game was new and interesting and everybody was excited about it. But now since then, so many people have like really effed up that it kind of ruined the market for it, unfortunately. And same thing to an extent with early access. There's been less of that, but gamers are notoriously fickle and have really high expectations. And if you want to see proof of that, look at the reaction to Cyberpunk announcement yesterday that they were going to be delayed because people are freaking the F out about it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Another.
I've heard reports of like death threats and stuff, and it's like,
Oh, geez. Really?
yeah,
Man. I know people are excited about it, especially with Keanu Reeves' involvement.
yeah.
But when I think of crowdfunding and gaming, I think back to, I think it's called Shenmue 3 or
So
something.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was delayed and delayed and delayed. And they kept saying, we're still working on it. And then from what I last heard, they finally released it, but it was like lackluster and people weren't impressed by the time it finally came out.
Yeah, and if you go through now and you look at what games, it's more on Kickstarter. Indiegogo is known for comics, but it's not necessarily known for video games, although there have been on there. And I'm not going to go to Kickstarter, obviously, especially with Jawbreakers on there. But I wouldn't want to anyway, just philosophically. But if you look at a lot of the games, it's concepts or people are trying to sell, and then they don't have any work done, which is why I thought it was really important to at least show, hey, look, there's something here. Like you can see work done, and if you watch all the videos on my channel, you can see work being done as things change and get better, look better, and stuff. If you go back to the earliest videos versus what I released last week. I just kind of have to figure out another hook to watching my channel besides developing a video game, because the interest on that is whatever. But I need it. I'm going to need that to help promote, obviously.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. So would you say your videos on your channel are kind of like tutorials in a sense?
not tutorials. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I misspoke. I mean, it's me. It's development. It's me talking about the development of the game or showing the development of the game. So it's all wrapped around the game, which isn't it's a hook if you're into that,
right?
But it's not broad appeal,
right?
So that's kind of what I meant.
I was wondering if it would make any sense, or if anyone would even be interested in, like, if you kind of from start to finish showed how you create a table, a table and chairs or something.
Yeah.
In a real world space, and then apply a texture to it, so it looks like wood versus metal versus PVC.
Yeah, I could do something like that. Yeah. Although, quite frankly, there's probably better videos out there showing the same thing. But what I could do is show when I go to program one of the other powers. I go into it a little bit in one of the videos, talking about when I added the shield throw. But I can do a video like literally where I start from scratch and just show exactly what it takes to program it, because there's math in there, and just the way it works. Like the way the shield throw works is you throw the shield just like any other weapon. It comes out like a projectile and hits somebody, and it does damage. But the other thing it does is then it will do a trace, which means it's just seeing is there any of the enemies within this space. So you do a spherical trace, and any enemy that's in there will get hit. Well, the first one that gets hit, it will turn the projectile from being just one that shoots out to a homing projectile, and then will home in on that target that I just hit with the trace. It didn't do any damage. It just said, I'm here. So then it tracks over there, and it does it one more time, and then when it's done the last one, it will home back into the character. And when it gets close enough to the character, it relatches on. It's actually not latching on. It disappears, and the one that's actually there is hidden, and then it becomes unhidden. But it looks like you just catch it.
Okay, all right.
It's all smoke and mirrors, man.
Well, man.
And I love watching. I love one of the things I love about playing other games, like professional games, like really high end ones, is and what got me into start making this one is saying like, how did they do that, or how would I do that? How would I reproduce that same power, that same effect, that same game mechanic? And that's, I mean, some of them I got hints from other powers, and some of them I just completely just figured out on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite cool. Yeah, Unreal Tournament's one of my favorite games.
Oh, really? You're way back when?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to play Quake. I used to play Unreal Tournament. What was it called? I think it was Unreal Tournament 2000 or 2004.
2004.
Yeah. I was in that game for quite some time.
Yeah, that's the one we actually modded to do like a new version of Action Unreal 2004, which just never got released. Although a buddy of mine from way back then, like, hey man, I found a copy of it, check it out, and he sent it to me just like a week and a half ago.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah, we were trying to. That was kind of what got us actually. I don't think about this. Because I'm in LA, I've had opportunities. And when Epic contacted me, I went to Atari, which was in LA.
Oh, wow.
And got a tour of their offices, and then we went to lunch and we talked about it. And we had to put a demo out of a version of our game in Unreal. And then I wrote a whole script for a game, because it was going to be an Xbox game. Original Xbox, so 2003, 2004, original Xbox. But part of the problem was some of my team had the idea that, or the mentality of, if you sell your game, you're a sellout. We're doing this for free, man.
What?
I just never understood that. I never understood that point of view. I mean, I get the idea of selling out, but at the same time, it's like, well, you have to make a living doing something, right?
Yeah. Why put all this time and effort and energy and passion into something and not get paid for it?
And back then, there was no other way. You couldn't sell a mod. You couldn't sell a game because it required store shelf space. So you had to have a publisher, and then you had to put it on a store shelf. It's it's kind of the same thing with like indie comics. Before crowdfunding, you had to have a publisher. So you had to go to the only game in town, which was something like Image, and then they get to gatekeep and say, and not gatekeep in the way we mean it today, but gatekeep on, no, I don't like that, I'm not going to make it. Whereas now you get to choose to make it. There's no one to tell you but your own ability to sell it.
Yep.
To stop you. And video games are like that too now, which is great. Pretty much all media is like that now. But like I said, back then there was no way to do it. You either had to, and you couldn't sell a game unless you wrote the engine from scratch, which is insane. So using somebody else's engine, you have to pay a bunch of money, which means you need a publisher. To put it on a store shelf, you need a publisher. So but nowadays, now you can do it yourself.
I was wondering, what are your thoughts? I don't know if you've used it or had experience with it, but maybe this is even below you. But there's a software development kit called Game Salad.
Game Salad. I haven't looked into too much. I remember it. I don't know too much about it, but I have heard of it.
I used to go to Macworld Expo every year, and they were in attendance the last 2 or 3 years that I attended before it got smaller and smaller and smaller. I don't even know if they still exist in the San Francisco, but they had this competition where they let people on the showroom floor of the conference during the conference tinker around with their software tool and create a platformer game, a basic platformer. And then by the end of the 3 or 4 day exposition, then they pick a winner out of the best games and give them a prize.
Like a game jam. That's what they call it among the where you create a game in a very short amount of time and
Yeah,
and stuff.
and it was something I was thinking about messing with, but I keep putting it off. But I think if you can create a game with it, but if you intend on selling it, then I think you give Game Salad a cut.
Yeah.
And then if you put it on like the Apple Game Store, Apple App Store, then I don't know if that involves another cut.
It does. They're 25%.
25%. Oh, jeez. Before you know it, you've got zero after everyone gets their cut. But yeah, just thought that would be something fun to mess around with in my spare time. Let's see here. So stretch goals. First 3 stretch goals with more to be announced as we reach the first 2. At 30K, a first-person mode. You'll be able to switch between first and third person on command to play how you prefer to play. Okay. So what is the mode called that you play now? Is that like
third person?
Oh, all right. Oh, okay. All right. I keep wanting to call it like
cameras over your shoulder, following you. Yeah, like a third person, so you're not. But whereas opposed to first person, you're looking out theoretically the eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I should call it true first person mode. True first person mode means the camera is attached to the character model.
Okay.
So when you look down, you know, a lot of games you look down and you see nothing because what it is just an arm and the weapon, and there's no body. There's no body in between. It's literally just like most first person shooters are that. Even if you look down at feet, that's a separate model from the arms. But a lot of them don't even. You look down, there's no feet. You have a shadow, but there's no feet.
Good point.
True first person mode means that your character model is, well, you have basically, it means you have feet. So, but that's time consuming to add. That's why it's so high.
And the game upon release, will it have the ability for you to change different camera views just so you can see what your character model looks like from the front?
Not exactly because of the type of game it is, but I'll probably do stuff like add in the ability to, if you holster your weapon, you'll be able to rotate the camera around. I need to program them in.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of like the way, I don't know if you play like Fallout does that. Play like Fallout 76 or Fallout 4. If you have your weapon out, you can't see your character. You can look over your shoulder, but you're always looking at the back. You can look at other characters, but if you holster the weapon, then the camera is freed and you can spin it around and take pictures.
Okay. All right. Speaking of pictures, are you supporting the ability to do screenshots and stuff in game?
Yeah, that's kind of actually built into the system. So it's just a matter of putting a key to do it. Yeah, that's like super easy to do. But yeah.
Cool.
Plus, you want to encourage stuff like that. As a game developer, you want to encourage stuff like that because that's how you want players to share it on social media, which grows your, if it looks cool, people take a picture. That's why everybody's adding that ability to do that into their game now, because it's free advertising.
Yeah. I for a number of years I was playing World of Warcraft, and one of the fun things about it was whether you're riding a mount or and you kind of like put it on a remote control, if you will, just running. Or if you're standing still, or if you're in a battle, you can rotate your camera around to see different angles. And so that being able to rotate the camera was always a fun feature.
Yeah, it's something that EVS has mentioned more than once, that he's like, kind of disappointed. With shooters, which this is essentially a shooter, that function kind of has to be separate from just from a gameplay standpoint. The ability to move the camera around makes it so your shots end up the point of view is important, basically, when you're tracing shooting,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to the way the powers in like World of Warcraft work, is you're selecting a target and then executing a power, and then there's basically dice rolling happening in the background that you don't see, that tells you whether you're hit or not. So you don't have to have the shots lined up. Whereas in a shooter, you need a point of view of the camera and where you're shooting, and then it calculates what you hit. So where the camera is located is way more important. So it would look weird, basically, if you had free range movement in a shooter, because then you could sometimes have the tip of your gun pointed here, but the camera's looking this way, and the shot would go that way. So that's why you can't normally do it, which is why you have to holster it, and then you could look. You have to have it in a non-shooting mode to be able to move the camera.
Yeah, I forget that this is very much a third-person shooter game, and it's not common for you to be rotating your camera.
Right. And like I said, and that's why, because you could do it, but what would happen, and you can see it in some.
Uh-oh. Is that my end? My computer's cranking in the background, but
games even that are third-person shooters, or even. Well, and we're back. You there? I can see you.
Yes, I can see you. All right. For a minute, your camera was frozen, and I think it went silent even for a moment.
Yeah, I saw all three screens, the two cameras and the shared screen.
Okay. They were buffering.
Yep.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, what I was going to say was, even animations don't always match the camera. So sometimes, and you want them to, but sometimes you'll see in games if the gun or whatever is moving, and you usually don't notice it unless like a beam weapon, like the laser eyes that's in this game. Sometimes you'll notice that if the head turns, the beam will still be pointed at where the camera's pointed, even though the animation's turning in the head. So the beam will come out sideways out of the head. I mean, it'll happen for like a moment or two. You want to make that not happen so much, but that's part of the thing about third-person shooters or shooters in general, is that relationship of the camera to where you shoot is really important.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Oops. Hold on. Let me double check something here.
Yeah, no problem.
No. Humana. All right. What on earth is going on? I'm trying to do some additional promotion, and it's giving me the wrong preview.
Oh.
Oftentimes throughout streams, I try and drop in social media updates. What?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been seeing them pop up in the comments. Twitch, Facebook is awesome.
How weird. It keeps pulling up a different one. All right, this is the link for our stream. So it should be pulling the link from that. What the bleepity bloop? All right, so I might have to pass on this one because it's acting up. This is not working.
That's right. This has been great talking with you tonight, because this is the first time I've had this sort of like kind of interview interaction. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. This is my style. I mean, every promoter has their own way of doing things. Whenever possible. Oh, here we go. Now it's working. Jeez. with Facebook, it was like it had my previous streams URL buffered, so it kept trying to put out that instead of yours. But MeWe.com was pulling yours up successfully, so I posted there. And then I guess Facebook got jealous, so it started getting with the program.
That's cool.
Yeah, I tend to take thorough deep dives into projects because I'm super curious. And sometimes when I look at a campaign, I don't necessarily know all the answers, so it helps to ask questions from the creator themselves. And sometimes there are people out there who feel the same. So I think it helps.
Yeah, I think that's, and I think, going into making this game and deciding to put it up to sell and stuff, like I know, like I talked about before, video games have a bad reputation, and it's certainly true in CG as well, that like the more you know of the creator themselves, the more you can see who they are, what they're capable of, and get it straight from that source. I think it's like super valuable. So like I said, doing this tonight has been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, no problem. I only wish I got you on sooner.
Yeah, me too. But I had my nose to the grindstone making this. So like I said, I got furloughed from Disney in March and have been out of work since then. And I thought it would be a better use of my time. Actually, honestly, I spent the first 2 weeks just playing all the video games that I backlogged, And then I was like, what am I doing? I need to do something. Not only my wife's like, what are you doing? Because back then it was like, yeah, we're going to be off for 2-3 weeks. Then we'll be back. So then I said, you know what, I'm going to do something. Here's something I have an opportunity here. So I'm going to really put my good nose to the grindstone and get this game to a point where I can share it with people and get them excited about it, and then throw it up on Indiegogo. Because I'm confident, I believe in it. I think people and the response of people that have heard about it, has been positive. It's not all positive. I've had, if you read through the comments on your boy Zach's video about it, there's some criticism, and it's legit in some cases, or the fear. Like some people said, it's just an asset flip. I don't know if you know what that is, but if you know anything about
it, sounds familiar. But would you mind?
Yeah, what an asset flip is there are people who have sold games either on crowdfunding or on Steam itself, where they go into the Unity or Unreal store and they buy assets that people sell. And they basically throw it together really quickly and throw it out there as a game. And it's crap. But they make, a couple grand, and then they walk away and they pretend like nothing happened. It's a scam, basically. So, and there are assets from the asset store in the game. The environments that you see right now are from the asset store. And there hasn't been, I manipulated them a little bit. Which is also why they don't fit, because the point of doing that for me was to make it look like what it's going to look like. But it's so early in development, I wouldn't have anything to show otherwise. But I say that in there. There's one of the FAQs is about that specifically. Like, but hearing that criticism, it's like good to make sure that I'm keeping on and making it so that people feel comfortable backing this, because it's people's hard-earned money.
Mm-hmm.
I got a message. What was it, today or yesterday? No, it was during EBS's stream that you were just watching earlier, where he mentioned it. Mm-hmm. Somebody said in the chat, like, and I think he featured it. It's like, I'm going to go back this when I get paid, like, which means that guy's going to spend money that he has to budget for entertainment to buy the product that I'm trying to sell. That's a huge responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if, it's one thing if somebody's dropping a couple of $100 on something, and obviously they can afford to back every project, but some people have to really pick and choose, and
Hmm.
that's a huge amount of responsibility on us as creators to make sure that we are worthy of that, because it's $20, but it's $40, but that's also a couple of hours of their life away from home working. You know, that's the way I look at it. So I take that really seriously.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. It kind of puts things in perspective and keeps you grounded.
Yeah, and a lot of ComicsGate is about that. It's about, like, if I'm going to spend my money on something, I want it something I can believe in. I don't want to be insulted. Obviously that's how this whole thing started with Marvel and DC, but it's also, when it gets to the crowdfunding side of things, is you know uh, you don't want to be disrespected in another way where you're not putting the work in that you said you were going to.
Hmm.
You know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's where providing updates in your campaign is really helpful.
And I believe I defended EVS on this, like, a lot when he was getting accused of being late, and it's like, well, the thing about crowdfunding is you don't have a release date, you have an estimate, and that's all you have. It's up to you to try and meet it or communicate. Both are valid. Some people, and I don't want to name names or anything, but we all know the big, huge, late, what do you call it, campaigns that that are made a lot of money and still aren't in our hands. Uh,
Hmm.
those reflect on all of us too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I take that really seriously. But
Uh, so 60 grand stretch goal is where there's a split screen co-op support, aka couch co-op. Play with your friends in split screen mode. See, split screen for me makes more sense if you have one of those huge TVs nowadays that you can
yeah,
get. But back when a television set was like a CRT tube and it was, 27 inches?
I mean,
Uh,
like when you're playing Nintendo GoldenEye.
yeah, yeah. Then it didn't seem to make much sense because
Right.
you're already struggling with the space you have.
Right.
But to cut it up even smaller didn't make sense to me. So at 100K, we got a 5 versus 5 team PvP mode, player versus player. Why 5 versus 5? You can play as the whole Jawbreakers team versus whoever wants to try to stand toe to toe with them. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of PvP, so that's something I'd like to do. But it's like I said, you can only really do PvP and have it be successful if there's already people purchasing your game in big numbers, because a PvP only game is only valuable if you have an audience. The second there's if you buy a PvP game and then you jump on and there's nobody playing it, well, you spend a bunch of money for junk, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. Um, Now, correct me if I'm wrong on my definitions, but to me, PvP is player versus player, meaning you have human players fighting other human players.
correct.
Then there's something called PvE, which is player versus everyone. And if I'm not mistaken, that's where human players are playing against the AI of the game.
Yeah,
All right.
which is basically what this game is. As it is now, it's PvE. But it's co-op. So it's multiplayer PvE. So it's multiplayer. So you have 3 other people on your team fighting AI.
Now, if it's just, let's say, you're a loner and you just get the game for yourself, and you occupy slot 1, is there automatically like a fellow AI paired up with you so that you have 2 people on your team, or are you just going in single player or something?
But you'll be going in alone. Maybe I'll add like an AI, but that could help. I haven't. That's a big hill to climb. Adding in AI that as a helper that fights alongside you, like a player would, because you have to add in like, oh, you're down now. You have to go and like pick them up, and you got to add in all the logic for them to be able to do that. So that's like a big undertaking. So that's a maybe, but probably not. But what it does is it does scale up. So they'll have a certain number of bad guys you have to fight. If you're solo, but it'll scale up. So if it's 15 per round solo, it'll be with 4 people, you'll be fighting probably more like 40 or so, 45. So it'll scale up, and there'll be a lot more guys on the screen, so it's more difficult. And the other thing, the other way the game works is it starts off and you don't have good weapons, and you'll be able to upgrade your powers as well, so they do more damage and happen more often, because there'll be a timer on all the weapons. I mean, all the powers. But as you go along, the bad guys will have more armor, more health. They won't do more damage, but they'll have more armor and health, so they'll be harder to kill, and they'll move faster.
All right.
Because they're kind of slow in the beginning, but by the end, they're running at you.
Is the gameplay based on like levels? Like level 1, you go through 2 waves of enemies. Level 2, 3 waves of enemies. Level 3, 3 waves. Level 4, you start seeing new villains or enemies coming.
No, it's more it's more similar to Call of Duty Zombies, where you just have to see how far you can go.
Okay, all right.
So it'll just keep getting more difficult on some level, and then it'll just start throwing more bad guys into you. And then once you get to a certain level, it's just how long can you survive? And how long can you stay in there?
So
and there'll be bosses that come out. Like every 4th level, a boss will spawn that's really tough to kill.
Oh, neat. Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, like you can see in the trailer, Knife Hands is fighting like a robot that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And he fires rockets and shoots plasma bolts at you, and then every once in a while, his top half of his body will like spin around, and it'll spit out grenades all the way around him. Oh. And he has like really, really, really high health.
So there's going to be like boss battles and everything.
Yeah, not so much like a boss battle, but somebody that's tough to kill. Think more like the tank from Left 4 Dead.
Oh, all right. I'm not familiar with that, but take your word for it.
Somebody else will know.
Yeah, Mananui says, "Oh, so it's a game."
Yes.
Yeah, this is a unique crowdfunder. This time it's a game. It features a number of ComicsGate characters that
with more to be announced.
Many know. What I'm trying to figure out now is if it's like a constant onslaught of enemies with an occasional, bigger, beefier boss. When do you even have time to like upgrade your powers?
It's round based, so it'll spawn a certain amount, and once that's over, you'll have a little bit of breath, and then the next round will come.
All right, so then you'll be able to kind of go into like hit the escape key, for example, to get into a screen where you see the.
No, as part of the story, there's a research facility that will send you weapons, like high-tech weapons, and also a way for you to upgrade your powers. The story would be like taking an adrenaline shot,
all right,
or something like that. It's a pretense for upgrading your powers.
Okay,
but basically they'll drop in almost like a kiosk where you can spend your points, and you'll either get a random tech weapon with one type that you ask for, or you'll get a kiosk where you can upgrade powers. Mm-hmm. And it will cost points, so then you can't, it won't, you want to be able to have them spend points on either getting new weapons, because there'll be ammo scarcity, so you'll have to constantly kind of change weapons. You'll always have your superpowers, whatever those are, or if you want to play like super hard mode, you make it so you have no superpowers, You only use weapons, but you get double points, so you get weapons. You can buy more weapons. You can basically play as the Punisher if you want, but you're going to pay for it because you got nothing out there. But yeah, so then you'll be able to call those in once, and they'll be sitting on the map there for the rest of the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there'll be multiple upgrades. So you'll upgrade once, and it'll make it so your power happens more often. And then another time we'll add it so it'll either do more damage in some way. Like one of the powers you have in there is chain lightning. Mm-hmm. So you shoot lightning out, and it hits one guy, and then it will chain off and hit 2 other guys. Well, if you upgrade it, then it will chain off to like 5 guys instead of 3. So it'll add 2 more. And then the ultimate power for the chain lightning, it will just chain infinitely for like 3 seconds and then stop.
Oh wow.
And then after 3 seconds passes, then it stops.
Are you implementing anything like med packs, stim packs?
Yeah, they'll be around the map that you can like go to that area. So like a standard, it'll be sitting there kind of floating and spinning in the air. Gotcha. So you can go to them, and then when it's used, it'll be gone for 30 seconds and then be able to come back up. Same thing with armor. Well, actually, I think right now that's what it was, but I'm eventually going to make it so the bad guys drop armor, like little amounts, and then there'll be armor packs around as well.
When you mentioned that over time, the enemies, as they get harder, they'll start having more armor.
Yeah.
Is it going to be based on like an armor level bar, or will you visibly see additional armor bulking them up?
No, it'll be an armor bar and armor takes damage at half.
All right, half that helps.
Yeah, but then you can get there's one of the powers that you can get. You can choose and armor piercing, so you can just ignore the armor and go straight to their health. Nice. And some characters will have that. Like probably Hell Priest will have that as his power. He'll have a power that puts it into the site where everything kind of glows. You can see that in the trailer. And then it's supposed to be only he can see souls, right?
All right.
And that's how he can see. But fighting AI, the AI becomes sentient, so it puts a little piece of its soul into all the bots it's controlling. So that's how we can see him. That's my story excuse for being able to see. But his power that he can activate will be to do that, and that makes it so he does more damage while he's in that mode, and then it cools off.
Gotcha. One of the things I'm excited about is, as you point out, if it ends up successful enough, things like fully destructible environment. that stuff is trippy. I enjoy it. That's destructible.
Yeah, if you click on that video, it's from a Unreal Engine demo of their what do you call it? Chaos Engine. So this is them showing how it works.
Whoa!
And it's not difficult to implement for as good as it looks.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but it's time consuming. So that would be something if I got high what do you call it? This is just shows how it works. You take a model that's there, and then it calculates how to break it into pieces. You can see.
Dang.
You can see what the engine is capable of. But that would take so much work. I would have to hire someone as a full-time job just to do that. But the thing is the maps that are there would be able to do it. Like I wouldn't have to change the element. I would just have to change the environment. I would just have to add this ability to the environment. But
oh man, that's a trip.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh wow.
But that's something that if I got really popular, I would absolutely want to add that, because it'd be awesome if you like punched a robot or a robot punched you and you flew through a building.
Oh yeah.
But that's a little outside my scope at this point.
Yeah, that would be a challenge to achieve that kind of gameplay and effect where the AI robot punches you and you go through a building.
Yeah, I mean it's doable, but as of right now, it's that's where it gets costly and time. It's costly and time consuming. So
Oh yeah, I bet.
yeah,
Yeah.
it can be done, but that's why I say in like a high stretch goal.
So, and when it comes to the closed beta testing, is it going to be for purposes of trying to catch bugs,
Yeah.
bugs and things like that?
Yeah, the first alpha testing hopefully will get all the big ones, but you know what? People have this innate ability of playing with games in a way that you never intended.
Exactly.
And doing things where you're like, I never even thought to try that, and suddenly he's flying through the air. That happened with my other game where a YouTuber was playing it around the time I ran the other campaign. So I got a guy that does YouTube and plays video games, and I don't remember what he did, but he was able to, once he dove into the air, he kept pressing the button over again, even though it should have shut off. But he kept pressing it, so basically he was flying. I don't like it. I don't want that. But like I said, so that's why you alpha test, and you hope you'll knock out the really nasty ones. And then beta test is you get to kick the tire. You basically play it, and then if bugs pop up, you pay attention, you fix those bugs, you do another release. For hopefully just a few, like a short couple of months, like a month or two, and then you release it for sale. And then everybody gets and each one of those is a different key. So there'll be an alpha key for the people that are into that, so they can download it, play it, and then once that's done, that key no longer works. And then the next one, the beta test, which everyone that backs it gets, and then we get into the what do you call it? The full release, and then once it's out, you can just play forever.
The core of the game is already functional. Backbone of the game is there. Rest of production will be adding features and polishing up what's in the game already, then porting to the various platforms for release. And did I hear you right that you're roughly about 35%?
Yeah, I'd say 30, 35%, somewhere in there, a third of the way done, because the core game functionality is a big portion that you can't really show somebody necessarily because it's code.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas the really showy stuff like the environments, that's where most of the work needs to be done at this point. And then adding characters. But the framework for the characters is there, so it's actually it doesn't take much time once the character model's made to do a little bit of programming to add a power, when a lot of the powers that you're going to add are based on stuff that's already kind of functioning in the game anyway. You're just kind of tweaking this. Like weapons, there's not much difference between a pistol and a machine gun other than the rate of fire is faster and the damage it does is different. And then but all that functionality is in there. If the pistol works, it's not hard to add in a machine gun, because they're the basic function of a shoot, trace, do damage is all there. So yeah, it's the art side of things, and mainly for the environments that need to be done. But you saw from that other video that the basics are there. I just need to make them look pretty now.
Yeah. Here's a curiosity. You mentioned, pistols, machine guns, rocket launchers. Is all that stuff literally calculated to be as realistic as possible? Like they take the specs from the military or whatever and go, all right, so this weapon, let's say a handgun, is rated to fire at this many meters per second.
Some games do that. Like some of the hyper realistic military shooters absolutely do that. They try and make it feel as similar as possible with the rates of fire and the sound effects and stuff. This game's a little bit more fantasy in the realm of they don't necessarily have names that are accurate. Because honestly, if you have, if you're a big video game company and you have a Heckler and Koch MP5, you can call it the Heckler and Koch MP5 because you've licensed the name from the company that owns it.
Oh,
But
right.
for little guys like me, no, it's going to have some other name. It's
Right.
going to be a KA-47 instead of an AK-47.
Yeah.
So it'll look similar and function similar, but no, it's not going to be that accurate.
And are these all 3D models?
Yeah.
All right.
And
Almost.
they're animated. They're on a skeleton. They all use the same animations. So, except there's some exceptions. Cyberfrog has a different skeleton because its proportions are different.
Yeah.
And probably if I make Cecil fatter, like that video, like I showed, his proportions will be different. So the animations will have to be customized to that. That's probably the reason why he's that size and not as fat as I made him. But I'm getting enough clamor that he needs to be fatter that I'll spend the time and effort to make him fat.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's just it is a significant amount of work to do, but I think the end result will be worth it. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
His voice lines the whole time is going to be, the idea is like, oh, this guy who can pull people from other dimensions goes, hey, humanity is going to get wiped out. So he reaches in and he grabs Cyberfrog, he grabs the Jawbreakers, he grabs other characters as yet to be named to try and stave off an extinction level event.
Right.
And he goes, oh, Cecil, he's a hero. He pulls him in, and Cecil's like, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I even here? And so instead of being like a total badass, he's just trying to survive. And Cecil said he'd record some stuff, but his voice lines will be along the lines of like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing here? When he meets Cyberfrog, he'll say something like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, are all the creators you've gotten the buy-in from so far going to provide voices?
No, I mean, Cecil's the only one that would need that. I think everybody else would be, and part of the licensing is they get approval on what I do. So, EVS has said what Cyberfrog's voice sounds like. And there's not going to be a lot of lines. It'll be at the start of the game and maybe when the boss shows up, reactions. Because mostly you're just shooting.
Right.
And grunts and stuff. Other games I could add in more, but probably don't necessarily need to. But you want at least a little bit of banter at the beginning.
Yeah.
The job was talking. But
I know it just means.
Oh, go ahead.
I know it just means more work for you, but I could easily see it, developing it into a pretty big thing where you have banter, like, how Mortal Kombat. Actually, they have their little one-liners before they even begin fighting, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm thinking along the lines of Duke Nukem.
Yeah, but his are rolling constantly when you play.
Yeah. I don't think it would
be
this style of game would warrant that much dialogue, but
No, but when you spawn in and you look next to each other and you're like, oh, so and so's here, you make it so, hey, if this person's here, say this line.
Yeah.
If this person's on the team, say this line. Then the generic guys will have just some generic lines like, oh my God, like stuff that's story related. But the characters can have stuff that's more personal to them that the audience or the players will identify with the character. So like Cecil would be like, what the hell am I doing here? As opposed to like everyone's gonna have that reaction, but they're also gonna be like more business related, like obviously you have some bad guys or like point me at him. Who are we killing now? Depending on the character, making it sure it's in character. But yeah, like you said, every feature I decide to add is time. and effort. So some things will be worth it, some necessarily wouldn't. But if I make more money, I can add more features. I could add more voice lines in different situations.
Or maybe a future DLC would be a sound pack. So you get more voices added.
Absolutely. Yeah, a free one. So that's something once the game's out and up and running, and I want to keep adding value to the game without charging anybody anything. Do stuff like that.
And then like
life.
You could also have a few voices or snippets of audio in the character selection screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first select it, even in this type of game where you don't have the ability to see the fronts of their bodies, at least in the character selection screen, you'll get a chance to see them. So maybe when you're in the character selection screen, rather than like a still image, you'll see the character. You'll be able to rotate the character left or right. On a pedestal, if you will.
Yeah.
And like if you're touching or rotating Cecil, he'll make some snarky comments like, touch a little lower, you know?
Yeah.
Goofy, silly stuff.
Something. Yeah, and I could also do stuff like a lot of games. I go back to Overwatch because they do it. And I think it's because like WoW did it, but there's voice lines you can do. So like where you say stuff when you do something, you can or emotes where you do a little.
Yeah. I can
add that stuff later on. I wouldn't necessarily start off with that because again, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, but it is.
Once you get the framework in there, then it's not hard to add it for everybody, except for doing the work of creating the content for it. But the adding the programming to make it work, definitely that's something I'd like to do. But that'll be like a free DLC I do after the game's out.
In addition to adding more weight to Cecil, does the game engine also factor in the movement of the body? Like the moves, will they go up and down, for example?
I can make it do that actually pretty easy. That's actually not too hard to do.
Okay.
Because the skeleton actually has, for women, has basically boob skeleton.
Okay.
So you can animate those. Or what you can do, really the better way to do it is you just tell it to, here, have this much, have physics affect these bones this much. So it makes it so they can kind of move around.
Nice.
Yeah. So yes, theoretically he could have boob jiggle.
Cool.
Somebody clip that and put it on Twitter so Cecil sees it. Cecil boob jiggle.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
Pretty cool. Let's see here. Trying to remember. I think there was a different question I had too regarding it. Those are pretty darn fun looking. Have you looked into adding Salamandroid?
I'm heavily considering it, but he's big.
Yeah, he's huge. He's like 3 or 4 times the size of Cyberfrog.
Yeah, so that's an issue. Like I have a giant, and he's literally a 2 times scale. He's just a regular player model that you put in the scale 2 instead of 1. So he's literally twice the size. So the environments and stuff will be made to accommodate that. But bigger than that, it could create some issues. So I'll think about it. I think that'll be a different one because also the way he moves, he'll have a completely custom way to move. Yeah, so I don't know. That'll be a tough one. If I could do it, yeah, absolutely.
He's got an extremely long tail too.
Yeah, he's got an extremely long tail that has to be animated separately. So yeah, he would be a just an amazing amount of work. So
Yeah, and then since he's so large already, then maybe if he absorbed one, if he grabbed one of those size power ups instead of growing, he would shrink.
yeah, well, no, those things are not power ups. They're actually superpowers. So you can have like
Super
a
power. Oh,
yeah, yeah. So they're one of the selectable powers. So they'd fit in growth, as it's called, is one of the true potential, which is the so you have dynamic potential is your attack power, latent potential is your defensive power, and true potential is other. So sometimes it's the ability to jump or the ability to I'm trying to think what else is in there. Of course, I'm blanking right now. To do extra damage, but that kind of like is a what do you call it? A catch-all. But growth is just another power that you can pick, so you can turn any character that size. But then they're that size for the rest of the game, and you get double melee damage. You can't pick up any weapons, so you're just a melee character at that point. But you can choose another. You can still shoot lasers out of your eyes, or you could use the foot stomp power, which is one of the superpowers you can pick, the dynamic powers.
Mm-hmm. This
And
might
then
be. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that last picture you showed is a mock-up of the UI. No, the next one over. One more. Yeah, so that one has kind of more what the UI is going to look like. It's being worked on, so it's not in the game yet, but you can see the power icons and the health bar. With
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's not actually in the game. That's just a mock-up, and there's another CGer that's helping me with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He's the only other help I have. Is it just that because the graphic design, like UI stuff, is not my forte, which is why it looks really basic in all the screenshots and stuff right now, because it's just kind of the generic. But it'll look prettier before it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right now, all the powers it's a little black square. It says the name of the power in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you watch the videos and see the actual gameplay, yeah.
Is 4 out of 45 representing how many you've taken down?
No, that's actually ammo.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
So you have four. She has 4 bullets left in her clip, and then she has whatever it says there as the remaining ammo.
Okay.
And then you have the score here. So you'll have an idea of how many are left, because when there's 1 or 2 left or 3, they'll start to glow, so you can see them. So you don't have to necessarily chase them down, but they should be chasing you.
Can you carry more than one weapon at any given time?
You can carry 3 weapons, basically. You can carry a melee weapon or just your fists. So if you pick up a samurai sword, then it replaces your fists.
Okay.
If you pick up the claws, it replaces your fist. Or you can just use your fist. And then you can pick up 2 weapons. You start off with a pistol and your fists, and then you have an empty slot. So if you pick up an AK-47, then you have a pistol for your fists and the AK. And then if you want, if you pick up another weapon, then you replace whichever one you have in your hand with whatever you pick up.
All right.
Yeah, because part of the game is to keep the weapons, the ammo scarce. So you are kind of relying more on your not relying more, but relying on your superpowers, and they're in the mix.
Oh, all right.
And the bad guys drop power ups that give you like 4 times points for like 15 seconds. So every kill you get 4 times the points, and they give you like an ammo refill, so all your ammo's refilled.
On the UI, have you guys considered possibly having a little outline image of the weapon that is currently armed?
Yeah, that's actually it's there. It's just kind of cut off a little.
Oh, it is there. That's a
It's a typical
shotgun.
shotgun. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But that's how you can tell it's fake, because she's actually holding an AK-47, but it shows the shotgun because it's a mock up. Yeah.
Okay, all right, gotcha. And this may be jumping way too far into the future, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Um, are you looking to have some sort of in-game chat built in? If you're,
it's actually there.
all right.
Typing chat, and then you can use stuff like Discord to do like a chat if you want. Aftermarket stuff, yeah, if you want to use your mic. But there is an in-game chat, so you can like hit T and type something, and it'll show up. But that's already functional.
Oh, dang! All right.
Yeah, it's just that's something you don't get to see in any of the trailers because it's nuts and bolts behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, that's
right.
There's matchmaking, so you can you'll be able to like start a game with your friends or find a game if you want to just join somebody else's game if they're there. That's all.
Oh, good. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. All right, so let's check out these perks. Before doing so, I'm gonna advertise on Twitter again. Going over the perks.
Yeah, I got about 20 more minutes.
All right.
I gotta get my 5-year-old ready for bed.
Sounds like a plan. We'll try and cruise through these here.
Yeah.
All right. So the full potential is your featured tier, and as I tell everyone, I appreciate when they offer a featured tier because it's the more or less the most bang for your buck, gives you the best experience all in all, and you often
basically everything. Yeah.
Now, feature tiers usually aren't the cheapest, usually aren't the most expensive. They're somewhere in between. But you get a load of stuff here. You get the copy of the game on Steam, Jawbreakers DLC number 2, Cyberfrog and Silkworm DLC number 1. So DLC number 2 is basically the rest of the Jawbreakers team, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
4 members, I think. Because Silkworm is one of them.
Yep.
2 additional paid DLC packs. Do we go over that?
Yeah, I haven't. There are 2 more 4-character DLC packs. Hey, Hexalon. 2 more paid DLC. The characters haven't been announced yet, but they will be from comics you know. I'm in the middle of talking with 2 creators right now, and I have to reach out to more. But there'll all be ones that are in the more popular side of things, hopefully. Actually, I'm in talks with 3 of them, but creators are very concerned because they're babies,
right?
So, and they want to make sure that it's handled correctly and stuff. So it's a kind of a long process to go through,
right?
With everybody except for EVS and Nature, actually, because I think because they're the least worried, and I'll tell you this. EVS is incredibly gracious with his time and his his IP. He's I have nothing but good things to say about EVS.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, because he didn't have to say yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
selling comics. Hail Harrison.
Yeah.
And hail Chatties people.
Chatties. That's cool.
All right. So you're working out some deals with other creators.
Yeah, and those will get announced as soon as I have them.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully during the campaign.
Yeah.
That'll kick it in. A couple of them will happen very, very shortly.
Ooh, cool. Digital wallpaper pack. All right. Your name in the credits. Closed beta access key and closed alpha access key.
Yeah,
so you are going to offer an alpha then?
Yeah, the alpha it was offered to everybody that signed up, whether you purchased their game or not. You'll be able to try it, and hopefully it'll kick you into wanting to purchase it at that point. And then beta access is what everybody gets. So if you buy the next year, if you want to look at that one, dynamic potential is just the standard game, no DLC. Copy of the game, the base game on Steam, so none of the CG characters. And some people, $20, that's a decent buy-in. So I
Yeah.
want to offer something that, and then they can always choose to add on DLC afterwards.
Good point.
Yeah.
And you still get your name in the credits, which can hold a lot of value. Then you got True Potential. Copy of the game on Steam. Jawbreakers DLC number 2. Cyberfrog and Silkworm DLC number 1. Digital wallpaper pack. Your name in the credits and closed beta access key.
Yeah, so that one, the only way to get alpha testing access is to get the featured perk or to have signed up for the mailing list. Other than that, there's no, well, some of the other ones. Yeah.
Dynamic Potential Friend 4-pack. Copy the game on Steam.
Yep. So that's basically the Dynamic Potential pack, the $20 thing, but it's you get 4 copies of it, but you save $20.
Okay.
So you basically get a free copy, and that's so you can gift those to your friends. So you have normie friends that don't know anything about ComicsGate. You can say, "Hey, check this out," and give it to them.
Now, what you're really going to be giving them is like an email.
Yeah, well, it's a key, so it's a string of letters and numbers.
Yeah, an email with a key.
Yeah, and in Steam you can buy games as gifts, as a gift.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and send it to them, so you'll be able to gift it.
I was wondering at first if you would offer it like something printed on plastic, like a gift card.
Now I'm trying to avoid mailing stuff because I don't have anything else to do, and then that opens up a whole another can of worms.
Yeah, it does.
Which if I was doing it already, it would make sense. But if I can avoid fulfillment, to me it just makes more sense to do it without. Which I think I answered. I've had people offer to do stuff, but like that digital wallpaper pack, I'm going to need like splash screens for when you're loading, and I want that to be comic art, to be done by artists, and that's kind of what it. So kind of tie it in. Plus, it would give you a chance to do something like draw Cyberfrog and the Jawbreakers in something official.
True Potential Friend 4-pack is basically the True Potential tier, but you get 4 copies of it.
Yeah, and you're saving $20. So if you were to buy 4 copies of it to give to your friends at $40, it's $160. This is only $140 for 4, so you're basically saving $20.
Right on. And then the Name a Character tier. Ooh. You create the code name to one of the 10 standard playable characters in the game, subject to approval by Hardboiled Software. Your name in the credits as producer in the opening credits. Whoa, producer credits. Dang. Yeah. And 4 copies of the Full Potential perk. That's pretty sweet. Nice. Already one of those claimed.
Yep.
Ooh, cool. And then last but not least, we have you as a playable character. You designed the costume of one of the last 2 playable standard characters and give them a name and your face. Name and design subject to
you don't necessarily have to give me your face. You can just give me a design and I would do that. You can put your character in there, but it would be not with specifics, not like a ComicsGate character. And this isn't necessarily for ComicsGate creators that have their characters and books out there. That's something different. I've talked to a couple people. They've hit me up, like I haven't really talked to them, but we mentioned it a little while ago. But my neighbor is actually the guy who created Butch Cleaver. I don't know if you
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
were,
gosh.
we were at another our mutual neighbor, my next door neighbor's house for 4th of July, and we're drinking beer and enjoying the 4th and fireworks going off all over the place because my neighborhood's a madhouse when it comes to fireworks. And we started talking comics, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm making a comic. I'm gonna put it up on Indiegogo next week." And I was like, "Oh really? Yeah, I've bought a couple of comics on Indiegogo." And he goes, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Yeah, I bought this one called Cyber Frog." Because if you're gonna reveal your ComicsGate to somebody, you don't know how they're gonna react, so you want to drop a bomb. So the easiest way to do this, I'm sure everybody will agree with me, is to go, "Yeah, I backed a comic called Cyber Frog. It looked, because then you can just say it was popular." I don't know anything about, because you're talking to your neighbor, but he goes, "Oh yeah, are you ComicsGate? Because I'm ComicsGate." And I was like, "Yeah, I am, dude. In fact, I'd already had some images up of the game." And he's like, have you seen those?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's you." And I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, and then found out we were neighbors. Super cool guy.
That is too
How
funny.
crazy that he's literally across the street and 4 houses down.
Dang.
Talk about small world.
That is too funny. Oh my
But yeah, if it doesn't know already, I would like Butch Cleaver to appear in the game as a free DLC.
Yeah, that would be an interesting character to implement. I meant to ask about Cyber Frog. If I'm not mistaken, he has the ability to transmute his arm or turn it into.
It's an alternate universe, and it's some EVS pointed out that his lights actually, around his arms and his legs shouldn't be on, because that means he's in contact with Kelson. Chelsea. Yeah. So I'll probably end up turning those off because he's supposed to be in an alternate universe. But the idea is that the last power he had, he still has when he transferred through. And so in this game, he uses all the same weapons as everybody else. He can pick them up just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of having a rifle in his hand, what he does is he has a gun transmuted into his hand, and that gun works exactly like whatever weapon he picked up.
Oh, so neat. Oh, that's cool.
He's firing his rockets, and you can see it in the video, the trailer. There's one shot where he shoots a shotgun in the face of one of the robots. You can see him shoots it, and then he jumps backwards because he can do that. But yeah, so he actually uses all the same weapons and can pick up all the same weapons like every other character. He doesn't look the same when he does it.
That's awesome. Wow, already 1 out of 2 claimed.
Yep.
So there's only one more spot left. Everybody back this project and have the chance for your likeness to be in this.
Yeah, and it's much like what do you call it, the face swapping and stuff. There's tools now that make it fairly easy to sculpt somebody from just photographs. So I don't need a 3D scan to make a pretty decent likeness of you. So yeah, and then if you want to put a mask on it too, so you could literally be like Cecil. You send me pictures and then put a mask on you and you can't tell who you are. Although that's not what I do with Cecil. I just sculpted something more based off the comic character then.
Oh, all right.
And what he would look like in the real world.
And
now he just needs to get fatter.
Yeah, exactly. Add some more weight. More weight, I say. Let me see. So let's see, which one was the main trailer? This one? Or
yeah, it should be that one right there.
This one?
Yeah. No. The next one. The one to the left.
All right.
That should be the main trailer.
All right, let's play this once more here.
I'll talk over it this time to describe what you're seeing.
Oh, come on now. Come on, man.
Only you can stand between an evil rogue AI and the rest of humanity.
Boss. And that's Knife Hands.
Pick your
And that's my voiceover. So when you listen to that,
your potential to win.
That's your voiceover?
Potential
yeah.
Four-player
wow.
co-op superhero survival shooter with 20 weapons and
Cuffs.
55 powers to choose from.
That's actually Hell Priest right there.
Collect bounties, upgrade your powers,
Oh.
and call in better weapons to help you survive.
Oh, man, look at the
Cries for
armies.
help, it's all on you to save them. In this
Yeah, the next time you see Cyber Frog,
only you can achieve hero potential. A powerful hero sensing the end of humanity reaches.
you can see Silkworm's cocoon power.
Oh, yeah. All right. That cocoon.
The Jawbreakers. And
you can see his knife hands. Watch him. So he shoots him in the face,
are available.
and it jumps backwards. So you can see
Downloadable.
he has a gun on his left hand.
And
Yeah.
are available at launch.
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
there's
Today,
a silkworm.
for humanity to life. Hero potential is only available on Indiegogo.
And then like Knife Hands can use guns if you need to, but you know when he uses his superpower, which has a timer on it, he goes into his knife hand mode, and then he does like massive damage with his hands. So, and you'll be able to do like a short range attack with knife hands, because he does that in a couple of the books, like in God King, he like shoots like basically his power out of his hand for like in a short distance. So you'll be able to do actually some range damage, but then you can also run around with a rifle too if you want.
All right, pretty awesome. That this is looking pretty fun. Pretty excited about it. Let's see. So I am going to give you the floor here. Would you share with the world how you can be found on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on @Harry_Bergeron on Twitter, and then Harry HARRI Bergeron on YouTube, and that's where you'll find me.
Cool deal. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube, WyzGyz Entertainment, on Twitter @WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch @WyzGyz Twitches, Parlay under WyzGyz Parlays. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Mark the bell for notifications. Hopefully you don't miss any videos or streams. Drop comments down below on what you're most excited about on this project.
Yeah, and I'll definitely be perusing it and getting feedback, because that's also really important.
Absolutely.
I did that with your boy Zach's. I kept track on it for 3 or 4 days while it's active.
Yeah. Let us know what you're most excited about on Hero Potential, and everybody back this project. It's definitely a worthy one. It looks pretty exciting and like a whole lot of fun. Another game to add to my collection.
Cool.
Thank you to everyone in chat. Appreciate you hanging with us. Thanks to everyone who watches this on replay. And very special thanks to our guest, Harrison Bergeron.
Yep.
All right.
And go read the story. Go read the short story by Kurt Vonnegut. Because then you'll go, oh, that's why.
Let me make note of that real quick. You said Kurt Vonnegut?
Kurt Vonnegut. Yeah, it's a classic. I actually read it in like 10th grade English. It's in my English book.
What is it called again? The title?
Harrison Bergeron, just like.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, literally just exactly like that.
All right, gotcha. All right, awesome. I'll have to make note of that. Fantastic. All right. So thank you all again. Appreciate your hanging with us. This has been great. We are ending the broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Bye.